Good morning, everyone. It's 11:02, so we'll go ahead and get started here. For those of you that I have not met, I'm Marla Gordon. I'm the Director of Clinical Services here at Kendal at Home, and thank you for joining us for day 3 of Fall Prevention Week. If you missed our presentation yesterday from Fire Chief Will Mueller, that'll be recorded and available on our YouTube site for you to view at a later time. When we talk about falls, we know that many falls that occur in the home are avoidable, usually because of issues in the home that are impeding safety, such as throw rugs and the need for modifications like grab bars to decrease fall risk in the home. So today we are happy to have with us Dan Lynch from Oakley Home Access. Oakley Home Access serves Rhode Island, Connecticut, and the majority of Massachusetts. So we're happy to have him here today to talk about home safety and modifications and give us some more information. Thank you for joining us, Dan.
All right, great. Thanks for having me today. So yeah, I'm excited to educate everybody on different accessibility options. And, just gonna have a short PowerPoint just to show you some visuals. I will kind of go through a home together, sort of like how I would perform an assessment. So right now I'm just gonna screen share and I'm gonna bring up the PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Thanks. I'm just going to start by introducing myself. So I'm Dan Lynch. I'm an occupational therapist for Oakley Home Access. So we're an accessibility company. So we work on, so when I do an assessment, I do an assessment as an occupational therapist, not as a salesperson. So in my experience, I've been an OT for 10 years. So I worked in inpatient rehab. I worked with early intervention. So everything from 0 to 6 months, all the way up to, work in skilled nursing facility. So across different populations. So I get to use my expertise now to go into the home, spot trouble areas. And what we love to do at Oakley Home Access, we like to get into homes before the disaster scenarios happen, before somebody is in hospital, before somebody has that fall. We love the calls when somebody says, gives us a call and says, hey, I just want somebody to check out my home. I'm feeling a little bit unsafe. My balance is a little bit off. So oftentimes I'll go into the home and, I talk to the person first. So I want to find out a lot about them. So I ask them, what areas they want addressed, how they're moving around, and then we take budget into concern too. So we want to make sure that the modifications not only fit the individual, but fit the budget. So a lot of times I'll just, even with grab bars, right? If I recommend a grab bar, I am recommending a grab bar specifically where you need it. So I'm not putting grab bars everywhere. I want to work with you and come up with the appropriate modifications so that you get the right fit. So without further ado, we'll come along here. So one of the things that's just so tragic is how prevalent falls are. Every day we try to do the best we can about educating the community to lower some of these numbers. So we look at the cost of, and you can look at some of those on the screen, the cost of hospitalization, and beyond just the monetary cost, just the cost of you being in the hospital for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or away from your loved ones. And oftentimes if a fall has already occurred, we have to make a little bit bigger modifications. So there's more of a cost to it. It's a little more thought that goes into it. So, certainly, like I said, we like to get in there early and make our some recommendations, sometimes simple, removing throw rugs, putting increasing lighting, adding railing. So these really minimal things can really help out to prevent some of these falls. As you can see, they cost the healthcare system a lot of money. They cost you a lot of money out of your pocket, and just quality of life. A fall can really change your perspective and your ability to do the things that you love. So one of the passions I have is just going to the home and helping somebody out and preventing these falls that can really have a negative consequence.
All right. And can I interrupt for 1 second? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Would you mind sharing your camera so that we can see you off to the side while you do your presentation?
Yeah, how do we do that?
At the bottom, it should, where there's a microphone, there should be a little camera next to it that says start video.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. I gotcha.
Now we see you. Thank you.
All right, good.
Oh,
Thank
now
you.
we don't. You disappeared again. Now I see you.
I don't know if it stop share. So if I go back to that, sorry guys.
Sorry, didn't mean to mess you up. Sorry.
Yep. All right. Do you see anything here that I can touch to get back to it? Stop video, mute participants. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have an iPad, so sometimes
Wow, okay.
so I apologize, guys.
Sorry, everyone.
Yep, you don't get to see my face. Okay, move this over. All right, great. So do that. Sorry, you don't get to see my face. So what I'll do is, well, when I go into home, so the way the process usually works is we get the phone call that either from a loved one or from the person that they'd like us to come out and do a home assessment. One of the really nice things is that we can get there quick. So oftentimes, there's some urgency to it, whether that person's in the hospital or whether they just want to get changes very quickly. So within 48 hours, I can be out to the home. And then we also have our own installation team. So any of the modifications that I suggest, you're not waiting for a subcontractor to install them. We have our own installation team. We can get most of these modifications in within a week and a half. So especially when there's urgency to it, we can get in there, we can get things done right and get them in there timely. So I know you guys, you're looking at, so oftentimes the first thing I look before I even get into home, a lot of walkways, some steps. You can see that the concrete's a little bit uneven. So thinking, what would make this a bit more safe? Same thing here. Sometimes they'll come up to a porch. And if you guys can just think to yourselves, what looks dangerous about this area? Or what could, there's a lot of elements here that could possibly cause a fall. Another one, we have a really high step in. We see that a lot of times, no railings. All right, so what can we do? So when you go up to the home, a lot of times what I do is I can assess for just the person might just need railing. So on the right-hand side, you can see that same porch that we saw. We just put some, it's really attractive, like aluminum railing. We can match the style of the home. So it does look really nice and it looks attractive. It doesn't look like something that was put there because somebody is aging in place. We can also do some custom wooden railings. You can see the one off of the deck there. Like I said, we can match the style. And a lot of those too, you can see they're unfinished. The next year, often people will paint those and it blends in even a bit more. And we also have, so if railings aren't enough, say you're using the railings and the mobility level, or maybe a fall has occurred and you do need to get home, we have outdoor stair lifts. So the important thing about these is, yeah, you can purchase them, but you can also rent them. So when you rent them, oftentimes people just need them for a month or because it's nice when you can facilitate progress and rehabilitation at home. So a lot of times when I was working in the rehabilitation hospital, I would have people who would be in the hospital for much longer because we're waiting, or they're not able to do steps to get into the house, or there's something that's blocking them, so they spend more time in the hospital than they actually need. Like I said, when we have like a quick round lead time, we can get these railings or we can get the stair lift in due time and get somebody home and start their recovery at home or prevent that fall. Same thing, we have ramps to enter, and you can look at the one on the left there. It's just a simple suitcase ramp. Can get you in and out a bit easier. They have railings on each side of them. So if you even need to be in a wheelchair for a short amount of time, or you're just getting back on your feet, you can certainly get these ramps. They can be removed, and the day they're removed, there's no changes to the home. So once your recovery has been finished, that ramp is removed, and then your home is exactly like it was before. We also have vertical platform lifts for areas that are just too tight, won't fit a ramp, or for that individual who might have a more progressive diagnosis. And it can it's like an outdoor elevator, gets them right up and in. All right, we'll move along. So thinking about what area of your house do you feel is the most dangerous? So think about what you do in your everyday life. Think about your house. Just in your mind, think of areas that you're like, this does get me a little bit nervous, or this could be a little bit potential danger. Okay, so what area of the home am I? Over a million falls a year occur in this area of the home. The second leading cause of injury, regardless of age, behind only motor vehicle accidents. If you fall in this area, you have more than 100 pounds of additional force to cause injury. What area do you think this is? I think I know. Right, indoor staircases. Okay, so here's a couple different areas. You have one from basement. A lot of people have some basement laundry, or they might have like a gathering room on the second floor, or the full bathroom on the second floor. We get the spiral staircase over there. I've seen those a couple times. So when you think about these areas, these are definitely areas where if you do fall, the potential for that fall to cause injury is going to be pretty high. So a lot of times we like to address those areas. Those are one of the most important areas that people like to go through and address. And what can we do? So oftentimes, I don't know how many times I go into a home and you get this long staircase and there's no railings anywhere. So a lot of times what we do is we can just add a railing, preferably to both sides. The two railings will really help you out. We can match it to the style. We have poplar, we have oak. So we can try to match it to look the style of the home. And they just increase your safety so much on stairs. And again, we can do stair lifts indoors. Like I said, we can rent these. Sometimes people just need them for a little while until they're recovered and they're ready to go on their own. Or if that individual is just, I've gone to the house and I've assessed that a stair lift might improve safety the most and prevent any fall from ever happening. Stair lift is a great solution. We can do them on curved staircases, straight staircases. And this little cool thing on the right that looks like a time machine, it's actually a home elevator. So we actually install them. They're more common than you would think. So a lot of times, again, it doesn't look like something that's obtrusive or takes away from the home. A lot of times, we have younger people who are just aging in place, generally not no falls yet. They're just looking for improved accessibility, especially at the multi-level home, to kind of negate those stairs. And especially with the danger of navigating staircases as you get older, the option to have an alternative is really, really good. All right. What room? Activities in this room account for 47% of all house fires. The third most likely area where a fall can occur in the home. Loss of independence in this area may contribute to malnutrition and dehydration, two leading causes of hospitalization in the elderly. All right, maybe I made this one too easy, but I think you all can figure this one out. All right, great. So when I go into a kitchen, this is an area where definitely dynamic elements, water on the floor, some of the surface is slick and hard, and things not in there. A lot of times you have the plates that are over your head, or they're way low, and yet you're reaching and you're getting yourself off your base of balance. So a lot of times when I go into a home, some of these things were removing throw rugs, slippery surfaces, just reconfiguring the kitchen so things are a little bit easier to reach. Certain things like jar openers or things like that. You don't realize how many wrist injuries are caused by somebody trying to open up a bottle or a jar. And those can definitely, just a small injury like that can really affect somebody's quality of life. So also using the microwave more often can be a little bit more helpful than the stove. We all know that Stove can be quite dangerous. All right, next room, inadequate lighting. Poor lighting are major contributors of falls in this area. Orthostatic hypotension or vertigo. So this is when you get up really quick. I don't know if you, this has happened to me before, getting up really quick and you kind of get a little bit lightheaded. When I was working in the hospital, a lot of times, especially since seniors in particular are a lot higher incidence of dehydration. So dehydration can lead to some of these effects, which once you get up, your blood pressure will drop because dehydrated. And a lot of times when people say, when I would ask them, you know, how did you fall? A lot of times they say, well, my legs just gave out on me, or I don't remember. And a lot of times the reason that they fell is because their blood pressure dropped and they fainted for a second. So, you know, I always preach slow position changes, getting up nice and slowly, staying hydrated, things like that. So in this room, dynamic seated positions, lying positions. So getting up from lying down quick to getting up can really contribute to a fall. So what area of the home is this? The answer is the bedroom. So you'll be surprised how many falls actually occur in the bedroom, because when you get up in the middle of, either getting up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning when you haven't had a drink and you're going from lying down to standing up, so many people have the lightheadedness, the dizziness, and they end up falling on the side of the bed. So one of the areas that we can kind of look in these two areas here, and sometimes bedrooms can be tight. We got a dog bed on the side. A lot of times the pet owners like have their their four-legged friends sleep with them or sleep in the room, but sometimes they can lead to some tripping hazards. So you just have to watch out a little bit in there. So what can we do? Wear proper footwear, remove those throw rugs. Like I said, slow position changes. Bed rails, if the individual needs it, they're really inexpensive, but they can help out people so much, because if you do start to feel a little bit lightheaded, you can have something to grab onto and get back to a seated position. We have floor to ceiling poles. You can see on the right side over there for that individual who just might need a little bit more assistance to pull up. And then the other thing is about sitting on bed. A lot of these beds are really high, so you don't even have to lose your balance. You can start to slide forward on the bed, and a lot of people end up falling that way. So having some of those equipment to hold on to reposition yourself is really important. And then think about the higher bed. You have the step bed stool, which is nice. It has a light on it too. So some just little small mods that can make the bedroom safer. And sometimes it's just about lighting, right? You can see the lighting on the side of the bed. I like automatic lighting, so motion lighting. So as soon as you get up, something it'll illuminate the path. Usually to the bathroom is really key. All right. What room is this? Up to 80% of the falls in the home occur in this room. Over 19,000 people a year lose their lives completing activities in this area. 33% of elderly were hospitalized after an incident in this area of the home. Slick and hard surfaces often contribute to prevalence and severity of falls in this area. All right, think about it. What are you thinking? I know the answer. All right, you ready? No surprise. The bathroom. All right, this is often, when I go into a home, this is often the precipitator of the call. People often say, just especially a tub, right? In everyday life, the highest step you go up to is maybe 7-8 inches, right? You get up the stairs, you're stepping over a curb. In the bathroom, they're asking you to step over something that could be 20 inches high, and the surfaces are slick. So the benefit of grab bars in this area are, so great. I mean, just having a grab bar or two, and preferably not those suction cups. So if you have those, chuck them out. They're very dangerous, because what they do is they give you the false sense of security. So if you got those in there and you pull on it one day and it just doesn't work, it can actually precipitate a fall. So you want to be very, very careful. All right. So why is the bathroom so dangerous? I mentioned that really tall tub wall, the slick surfaces. Oftentimes, there's usually a sense of urgency. So usually, a lot of times, if you want to get to the bathroom, you're probably doing it sometimes a little quicker than you would like. So that can lead to falls a little bit. Some of those surfaces are low. I don't know how many times I went to home and the toilet is just so low. When everything else in the house is, all the seating is high, and then you don't really look at it and you're like, well, why is the toilet the lowest thing? And often people say that they have a lot of difficulty getting off the toilet. So we have some modifications for that. So conservative modifications. We mentioned grab bars, which we have in all different styles, different finishes, so we can match the style of the bathroom. So it doesn't look like a lot of people that say, I don't want it to look like a nursing home. We can make it, especially, we can strategically put bars. We don't need to put 9, 10 bars everywhere. We're going to put them, we're going to collaborate with you and put it exactly where you would like it. Floor to ceiling poles are an option too. Sometimes the floor to ceiling poles tension mounts. So sometimes there's just no place to put a grab bar. Like if there's a very thin fiberglass wall, or maybe you just don't prefer to drill into your tiles. Some people just, they want to keep the integrity of the tile. So sometimes a floor to ceiling pole is a good option there. Switching out those glass doors, that's always one of the biggest dangers I see, is the glass doors. Yes, they're beautiful. People love them, but it introduces so many risks for falls. So opening the door for one, trying to minimize the accessibility. People tend to hold on to the doors too and put their weight onto it, which is a bad idea. And it just minimizes accessibility. And if you fall into, obviously, the occurrence of a cut or anything like that could happen. So one of the first things I mentioned is to remove those doors. We have these nice curved mounted curtain rods that look great, improve accessibility, and they look nice, but they improve the safety so much. And of course, raising the toilet seat. On the right side there, you can see a tub cut. We mentioned about that really high tub wall that can cause a lot of difficulties and can lead to falls. And some people just aren't ready to make the financial commitment to do a whole walk-in shower. Sometimes just doing that tub cut and just making a nice 6-inch step in is much more economically feasible, and it can be done in quick time instead of a month project for a bathroom. We're trying to find a contractor to redo your bathroom. We can get this done in a couple weeks. All right, so here's some of the different modifications we have. We have contacts to do full roll-in showers. So if it's that point and I do the assessment, I think that's best for you, I can definitely recommend it. I say most of the time, a grab bar or two really take people, really reduce the fall risk. And the folks who haven't had falls yet, who are just aging in place, that grab bar might be the only thing that they need if they call me. And we're happy to install 1 grab bar or 3 grab bars or anything. There's no commitment for anything like that. Tub cuts, like I said, they really they can really open up a lot of possibilities. And you have the just to lower that step in height. I know a lot of folks have those high tub walls. Most of the time we can cut them. We can put this tub cut in and really help out. Put a couple of grab bars there, and you can change the whole dynamic of your bathroom and really reduce that fall risk. All right, so some seating choices. So if you're at the point where maybe you have some arthritis, and maybe it's just really uncomfortable for to stand for a while, or your balance is impaired in standing, because once the shower is wet, it is slick. Even doesn't matter what kind of mat you have in there, it can be a little bit slick. So there's different seating choices. Even that bath lift, we've had people who really like to soak in the tub, but just don't have the strength or the ability to get up safely from the lying down position. So that bath lift, once you sit into it, it actually lowers you down into the tub to soak, which is really nice. So, and then these tub seats can be removed. So if you have company and you just want to take it out, you definitely can. So it does, again, it's not a permanent change to your home, but it can definitely improve safety, especially if you're at the point where you do need to, where it's a little bit safer for you to sit for the shower. All right. So again, like getting on and off the toilet, we mentioned these really low toilets. So you can look from left to right. We have these, they call it dresser frame handles. So just gives you those, how difficult it is to get up from a chair without arms. So just adding this really helps out your ability to get up from the toilet, and also again, if you have any lightheadedness or dizziness, you can reach back and sit down nice and slowly. The second picture, if you need a little bit more height, that's really a low toilet. That can be put on. Again, no permanent changes to the home. You can just fasten that down. We have the floor to ceiling poles for those individuals who need a little bit more. And if you need more than that, we have some advanced stuff like the toilet tilt lift. They can kind of really boost you. It's almost like one of those recliner chairs that lifts you up. So we have that option for toilets too. All right, and then barrier-free solutions for the individual that might need a little bit more help. We have some advanced seating options that help them stay independent in their home. So doesn't matter what condition you have, we can definitely offer options for you to stay home and avoid going to a facility or moving from the home that you really love. We do like more advanced stuff like patient lifts if that individual needs a bit more assistance. So, a lot of times when you see a lift or somebody needs a lift, you already think, oh, well, that person has to be in a facility now. I don't know how many people we've helped by putting in lifts in the home, and it just gives them so much autonomy. It gives them so much better quality of life. So I really like that we can focus on and help every individual along every spectrum. And it's just nice to know that we can give people options to stay home when they may not have thought that it was an option. And then again, we have like for those individuals who need a little bit of caregiver assistance at home, we offer these lifts that can help out not only like the caregiver. So if a loved one is helping out an individual, we want to make sure that they stay safe, and ultimately the transfers are safe. We want to keep everybody safe in the home. So sometimes this is a great option for folks. And I mentioned those lift chairs. So I know sometimes OT and PT do not like the lift chairs because they say that once you get in the lift chair, you can only get in and out of that lift chair. So when I go to do my assessment, I make sure the fit is right for the individual. So these chairs really can help folks out. Some people, the chairs that we have, the golden lifts are they're durable. They recline. So individuals who might have congestive heart failure or edema, it might be a lot better for them to sleep in a recliner chair. Or they don't have the ability to go upstairs to the bedroom anymore. They can use this recliner chair to sleep in. Or it's really comfortable. Again, you can walk into a home, you can look at it, and it doesn't scream that the person in the home has any sort of disability or is aging in place. All right. So again, one of the things I always consider the person. So when folks call a stair lift company, for instance, they're going to get a stair lift. If they call a ramp company, they're going to get a ramp. If you call me we do a free home safety assessment. Well, we're going to work together to decide what you actually need. Sometimes I look at a person and they called me and they said, I was looking for a stair lift. I do like a functional assessment. I talk to people in the home, and what they really need is just some railings. Or, they need a ramp instead of a stair lift, or just grab box. So what our company does is we have a holistic view of everything. We're not a sales company. I'm not pushing a certain product to increase the revenue for the company. The whole reason for the way we're individuals, we're owned by an OT. Justin Oakley he started the company because he was noticing a lot of people were returning to the hospital because they were having recurrent falls in the bathroom, and a lot of the recommendations he was making for grab bars and seating and things like that weren't getting instituted. The great thing is, he started this company. His best friend was a contractor, so they came together, and now we have our own installation team who can do all these modifications. And then the assessments are OT driven and they're holistic. They're not driven by revenue or trying to push a product. We simply just try to marry the product with the person in the best fit possible. Again, when I speak to somebody, I ask for their medical history. you know, how they're moving around, how they're thinking. And I use all this information to come up with the family for the best solution for that person, whether they be the grab bars or you know, minimally invasive stuff like handrails. Just you can help out so many folks by just these small modifications. And what can you do? So if you do call Oakley Home Access, I come out and I'll do a free home assessment. And a lot of times I give my opinion from an OT's perspective. I had a gentleman last week who he was having hip replacement. He was really nervous about everything and he didn't really know what to expect. So when I was there, I taught him how to use a sock aid. You know, I taught him, you know, what to expect, what's going to be difficult for him, what things that he can do to prevent a fall, not just products. So it's not just saying, hey, you need a grab bar here or there. It's talking about the entire routine. Just like what I spoke to you folks about slow position changes, managing your pain. You know, I'll even recommend that somebody would be home if I think that somebody's going to need a little bit of help when they come home. So like I said, our whole theory is to just try to prevent falls in the home. So it goes beyond talking about products. It's about talking about the person and talking about you know, what expectations are. Again, it's just we cater everything to you. I don't think I've ever done, when I do an assessment, I personalize it. So each assessment that I do with somebody, it's completely and 100% unique to that person. So it's not cookie cutter. One of the things I like about my job is that it is difficult because I have to do a lot of thinking and it's important work. You know, I don't want to go in there and just recommend one or two things that aren't going to help somebody. I want to work with them. I want to personalize it. And I want to make sure that they get the right product and they're going to be satisfied with it. And it's going to prevent a fall for them. As far as like funding goes, yeah, there's always a price to certain things. Like I said, we do a lot of things like rental options, using my expertise to only recommend the products that the client would definitely need rather than just throw a bunch of products out there that they may not need. So I use that to cut costs. National organizations, so we'll reach out to different national organizations to look for funding for folks. Long-term care policies. In Rhode Island, we have a grant that will help out individuals who make less than $78,700. It actually will reimburse up to 50%, up to $4,000 in modifications, which is such a great thing in Rhode Island. We are really advocating for something like this in Massachusetts. So we want the same structure. So we do a lot of continuing education. We educate people to reach out to the local legislation. We reach out to legislation. We really want to make changes as far as making changes and making some of these things more accessible to people, right? Not everybody has even money for a grab. There are folks that don't have money for a grab, all right? So we want to find every avenue we can to help as many people as we can. And the way to do it is to try to get some funding, because like I said, it's not just the physical cost, the quality of life cost. From the business side of it, when somebody gets hospitalized, it costs the healthcare system a lot of money. So what we propose to do is we think that by giving people money for modifications, you're actually saving, you're saving the community, how many hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars. So, by helping people, you can still, sway the local legislation and put that there. And yeah, thank you so much for everything. I know I went over a whole lot. There's just so much to go through. There's so many different products that we offer. What I always say is, if you're thinking about it, if you're a little bit nervous about the home, you can have me come in. I'll do the free home assessment and personalize it to you. There's going to be a lot of questions you'll have. You'll be like, wait a minute, this. So I will always be there to answer that for you guys. And then, well, thank you, everyone. Now you can see me, right?
Now we can see you.
Now you can see me. I'll have to work on that little bug there.
Thanks, Dan. That's a lot of wonderful information. And as an occupational therapist myself, definitely so many different modifications that you went over are so important. And ideally, we would love people to be proactive and kind of prevent those falls in the first place. But
Yep.
certainly, if you have had a fall, that doesn't mean it's too late to put any kind of modifications into your home, because once you've had a fall, you are at such a statistically higher risk of falling again and likely having injury. So sometimes people will say, you know, I've already fell. What's the point of putting in that grab bar now? Well, your chance of falling has now grown significantly. So
Yeah.
it's really never too late, right?
And I think a lot of the folks that I speak to, a lot of times they admit they've had a fall, you know, and luckily it's been a minor one, but there's always been these little red flags along the way. So I love these discussions because I hate to say, but 90% of business is mostly the disaster or emergency scenario where the person is in the hospital and they need the quick turnaround. That's why we offer that quick turnaround. But by giving some of these talks, we can get to the 10%, the people who call us proactive, where we can just, you know, I can make my just give them recommendations, install a few grab bars and prevent from that fall from ever happening. I just think there's just so many people who would benefit just from the education, to just be proactive, install a few things in the house and prevent any falls from happening. None of us will ever expect to have a fall. Nobody is expecting the fall on a Wednesday or tomorrow. You always just have to think about just being proactive for yourself. And you know, it's tough. It's tough. I know in everything in life, it's tough to try to look down the road a little bit. But I can promise you that the people who have thought that way have really thanked themselves in the end. So I think it's definitely, in retrospect, when you make that decision, you're going to find out that it's a great one.
Absolutely. If you have any questions for Dan that you'd like to ask, feel free to click on Q&A or chat at the bottom of your screen and type those in, and we'll put them on the spot here for some answers.
Yes.
You mentioned long-term care insurance, and I know often individuals feel that Medicare will pay for these things. And in reality, there are really very few, if any, things that Medicare or even managed Medicare cover. How does somebody go about determining whether or not their long-term care insurance covers any type of modifications?
Yeah, so what they can do is they can oftentimes reach out to the insurance company. So usually with the long-term care insurance, it has to be activated. So when that individual, usually when they have like home care or something like that, and the case is already open. So that's usually, the good thing is that sometimes there is a case manager involved that really helps out with that. So, and then also I always ask the question, do you have long-term care coverage? And our front office is excellent at you know, guiding folks in the right direction, because sometimes it's about the right questions to ask. And that's one of the great things about our service too, is that we do help people find funding to you know, we even have that Rhode Island grant. I take my time I have the paperwork for it, and I'll go line by line with folks over the grant, and then you know, our front office is available for them. So anything like that, we can definitely help folks out and lead them in the right direction.
Great. Wonderful. I don't see any questions coming through. We'll give it another moment. Sometimes it's difficult to maneuver the computer here, but
just means I answered everything.
Yeah, saying you covered it all. There's nothing to ask. Nope, I think there's one that just came through. Let's see. What is the geographic region that Oakley covers?
Okay, so we cover all of Rhode Island, and we cover areas of Connecticut that border Rhode Island. As far as Massachusetts, it's everything east of Worcester. So we'll do South Shore, North Shore. I did an assessment the other day that I think I could have thrown a stone into New Hampshire. So we do quite a bit. We do the Cape. Justin does go to the Block Island. I think we've done Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. So we have, I put a lot of miles on every day. So we have a pretty big service area.
It's great. And there's such a difference having an occupational therapist come in who's actually measuring you and finding those right fits. I know we often will see, perhaps a contractor coming in and installing grab bars around a toilet seat, for instance, but if they're not measuring the width of your hips and know that that's the right fit, it's not a one size fits all when we look at these modifications. So it's so important to look at everyone individually, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, everyone's one of a kind. So when I look at it, I'm not like, oh, I always put one here. I look at the person, I ask them to get up if they're there, if not, I'll reach out to the OT and the PT that might be working with them. So I get a lot of information that way. Because it's not just a grab bar. It's just gonna be, you got to put it in the right place. You got to put it, you got to find out how that person gets up. So there's a lot that goes into it. Sometimes I'll be there for an hour just for a discussion about a grab bar, but it's, sometimes that's what it takes.
Right. Somebody's asking if there's anything similar in Ohio. Unfortunately, Oakley is not in Ohio, unless we can talk them into expanding out this way. We are looking at a company, I believe it's one of our members that asked that question. We are looking at a company that also has an OT that comes out and does that assessment. We're in the middle of talking and hoping to bring those services to Ohio. So more to come. I don't think it's as readily available here as it might be in other places. Occupational therapists in general, though, are appropriate individuals to reach out to. So even perhaps going, it might be just an outpatient visit to discuss options. It's not going to necessarily be a detailed in your home visit like Dan and Oakley is conducting, but they would at least give you a place to start with what to consider when making some modifications in your home. And then someone asked about, I don't know, the question about short-term insurance, but I think they might mean like medical insurance, as we discussed. For instance, a lift chair, and I don't know if the rules are still the same. Medicare won't pay for a lift chair per se. They pay for a percentage of the cost of the motor of the lift chair. At least that used to be the rule. Does that sound like that's still it came down to, a very small amount that you pay for the chair, you submit your receipt, and you maybe get $100 back from Medicare towards the chair. I don't think anything's changed with that.
That's right. Yeah. So if you're looking at like that lift chair that I had, the golden lift chair, they had the way that they'll just pay a portion of the motor. It really doesn't come out to be much, because it's a product that's made to last and made to work with folks with disabilities or even incontinence issues. They can get a little bit pricey. So sometimes cost can be a prohibitive factor.
Right. Absolutely. You would think insurance companies would want people to not have the cost of hospital stays and broken bones, but
yeah, that's
quite get them to see that way.
They're talking to the wrong people, I think.
Right. Well, we appreciate you and the information you shared today, Dan. It's great information, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for everybody for being here, and you can certainly reach out. Like I said, you can more than happy to do a free home assessment and talk to you guys individually. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Thanks for having me.